This is Good Hope FM with Nigel Pearce. How are you today? And you're sitting there this morning in traffic going, oh, traffic's a breeze. But it's Monday. What? It's the school holidays today. And I'll tell you what's right for you if you're on your school holidays. Sport and education. There's a lot of talent in the city. Young talent in the city. Sadly, some of it just fades away. And we need to hold on to that talent. We need to find it. We need to unpack it. We need to unravel it. And we need to polish it. And then we need to export that talent. And talent is mobile today. Look at Stephen Pienaar, Benny McCarthy, Quinton Fortune, to name but a few. And there are thousands of Benny McCarthys in the city, Quinton Fortunes and Stephen Pienaars. Sadly, we just don't do enough. But I discovered this academy the other day. It's called the Ubuntu Football Academy. We're joined now by one of the founders, Michael Jenkins. Michael, good morning and welcome to the show.
Hi, Nigel. Thanks very much for having us on the show.
What is the Ubuntu Football Academy all about?
Nigel, I think the mandate we've kind of set for ourselves is to use football as a context to mentor the next generation of great South African men and South African leaders. So yes, it's about football, and we're really ambitious in terms of trying to provide an amazing development program. But really, it's more important to us that these young players become great men and the kind of people that will be leaders of their communities and their families going forward. So that's really the essence of it.
So you're really looking for ambassadors, not only in sport and football as a subtext, but certainly as leaders. And even if they don't go into football and play for Bafana Bafana or play overseas, at least you're creating an ambassador for a community, for a city, for a country.
That's exactly right. I think there's no ways you can guarantee a young player at kind of 12 or 13 that he's going to play at any particular level, because development's a long road. But we feel that if they become men of character, men of integrity, and men who are concerned about giving back to their communities, then their lives are going to be successful and significant regardless of how much they achieve on the football field.
So you guys at Ubuntu Football Academy, you're in it for the long haul, and similarly, the kids and their parents have to be in it for the long haul. It's a commitment.
Yes, that's right. I think what we don't do, which a lot of academies do, is have annual trials and let certain players go and bring other players in. We respect the reasons that some people do that, but for us, in terms of developing the whole person, we just feel that's counterproductive. So when we start with a player at kind of under 13 level, we sit with him and his family and we explain why we want to work with the player. And we also make it very clear that as long as they stay committed to the program, we're never going to ask them to leave. And it's really a commitment right through to the end of their matric.
9:25, this is Good Hope FM with Nigel Pearce. Michael Jenkins is one of the founders of the Ubuntu Football Academy, doing some great work here in Cape Town. Michael, where do you find this talent, and where do the kids come from?
Well, Nigel, this has really been our inaugural year. This is the first year working with 16 under 13 players. And so the way we found this talent this time last year was through a series of clinics that we held across the southern half of Cape Town. So really everything south of the M5, from Steenberg, Lavender Hill, Grassy Park, Masiphumelele, Ocean View, Fishhook. And what we did is we networked with a good number of schools and clubs, local clubs, and we invited the coaches to send us 2 or 3 of their best players to a series of clinics, and we had about 100 players that came to those clinics. And we didn't kind of frame it as a trial because we didn't want 90% of the players to leave disappointed. But what we did do through the process of a 2 or 3 day clinic is identify 16 players who we felt had the potential and the attitude and the character to really benefit from this opportunity. And so that was the starting point for us.
And what league do they play in?
This year we've played in the Cape Town Tygerberg Premier League.
And how did they finish?
They did really well. We won the league, so that means we've been promoted to the Super League, which is basically the top division of the Cape Town Tygerberg League.
Fantastic. You guys at the Ubuntu Football Academy must be really, really pleased and proud of those young kids.
It's been an incredibly rewarding experience. We're very proud of what they've achieved on the field. But I think when I chatted to you last week, I think one thing that we spoke about a lot was just how the most rewarding thing has been the growth of their characters. Seeing kids kind of cope with four training sessions a week, 2 hours a day, and develop the character and the responsibility to call us if they're not going to make it. I think that's been. I mean, we're competitive enough to be very ambitious about what happens on the field, but it's more important to us to see them becoming those kind of young men. So it's just been the most phenomenally rewarding and satisfying experience in every way.
I always find, Michael, and I come from a similar sort of background, and I always find that, and having interacted with kids from similar backgrounds over the last 10, 15, 20 years, that a lot of those kids have raw talent, but it's the confidence levels that are lacking. And I think when the confidence levels on the pitch are right up there, I think it augurs well for, let's say, kids who don't ultimately land up being football players, but then let's say going to business or going to do some other kind of vocation, but the confidence levels have got to be up.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that confidence and self-perception and the ability to function in a team environment is absolutely essential. It doesn't matter where you end up in life. I mean, I always joke that I probably realized about 10 years after everyone else that knew me that I was never going to play professional sport. Everyone else saw it coming long before I did. But I don't have any regrets about the hours and hours I invested in team sport as a kid growing up, because it shaped my character, and I find it, to this day, I find it incredibly useful, and it's kind of part of who I've become, I think.
By the way, if you just joined us, 9:28, this is Good Hope FM with Nigel Pearce. So Michael Jenkins is with us. He's the founder of the Ubuntu Football Academy, doing fantastic work here in the city. Michael, you find these kids sort of south of the M5. A lot of folk are listening right now, maybe in Khayelitsha or Mitchell's Plain or in the northern suburbs, going, listen, my son has got enormous talent. I don't want him to go to school in the area. I want to give him a better life. How do they go about contacting you guys?
I think I would direct people to our website, which is very easy. It's ubuntufootball.com, and I think there's an email address there that they can contact us on. I think if a player wanted to approach the academy, I would really suggest they do so through their parents and their current coach, because it's important to us that we don't go and steal players from other clubs without their coach really being behind them. And it's also important if we get. I'd like to have a recommendation from a coach to kind of indicate what kind of person and what kind of player this is. So yes, we can be contacted through our website. There is an email address there, and as I said, if they could really talk to their parents and their coach first. I think just to also make it clear, our initiative, we always want to have a very strong local presence in terms of the South Peninsula of Cape Town. So we have made provision to have places available for players further afield. If we find a player in Somerset West or in Khayelitsha or in Mitchell's Plain who we want to work with, there will be places available. We'll have to work with the family in terms of exactly how we work around the logistics. But that is the situation.
Just my final point, and again, it centers around talent and holding on to the talent and opportunities. So often there's enormous talent in the city, and they play, let's say, in the southern suburbs, and then they've got to go back home again to all the social ills. How do we prevent that? How do we build that character, not only on the field but off the field as well? Because going back home to, let's say, Lavender Hill or Khayelitsha or Masiphumelele, that's not a great environment. It's not a salubrious environment.
Yes, it's a very, very challenging situation, and I think you alluded to it right at the beginning of your intro here today, where for every Benny McCarthy, for every Stephen Pienaar, I think there's literally 10 to 20 kids that had the same talent level that haven't made it. So that whole person development is absolutely vital. And the way we've handled that is we've partnered with the Sun Valley group of schools in the Nurta community. It's Sun Valley Primary School and the Silver Mine Academy. And what we've done is arrange that every one of our players from next year will be doing their education through the Sun Valley Primary School or Silver Mine Academy High School. And it's a real challenge because we want them to stay really connected to their communities. We want them to stay very close to the community they've come from. But we also want that not to define them, and we don't want the challenges of that community to define their future. So that's the kind of tension that we're trying to live with. But we feel like education, if you can take a kid out of quite a hazardous environment for 7 to 8 hours a day and put them in a much better environment with a really close mentorship and in the context of relationship, I think that'll go a long way to maybe making it possible.
Michael, thanks for your time. Well done.
Nigel, thanks so much.
No worries. 9:30 here. Michael Jenkins there. He's the founder of the Ubuntu Football Academy, and it's ubuntufootball.com. Your kids are on holiday right now. They've got enormous talent, footballing talent, and we need to harness and we need to polish that talent. And again, there are opportunities out there. You've just got to know where and how, and this is a great initiative. It's a great project.